You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Media Network.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Listen, folks, I'm here to tell you our political system is broken,
The two-party system is dead. They have become one and the same.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
This is always the killer, the one that just destroys that never Trump argument. Hillary Clinton will fill the Supreme Court with liberals. She'll also appoint federal judges with a liberal bent to them.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Don't let anybody tell you that it's corporations and businesses that create jobs.
Arrogant, sanctimonious, self-righteous, sabotaging Trump.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford. I am going to take care of everybody. I don't care if it costs me votes or not. Everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now. The government's going to pay for it, but we're going to save so much money on the other side. ISIS is honoring President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Maybe that's what I said.
What realized is that the Bill Kristols of the world, the never Trump people, they were just never serious. They never had any kind of ground game. They never had an actual candidate they could pick.
And in a surprising and disturbing move today, the Libertarian vice presidential candidate just agreed that rifles are weapons of mass destruction, and people on the terror watch list should not be allowed to purchase guns. So in other words, the party of freedom is liberty for me, but not for thee. Go figure.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree.
Hello, America. Welcome to America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson, and we are coming to you live on a special evening edition of KLR and Radio.com's America Off the Rails, and we'll actually be running this again in my morning time slot, but I do have a guest with me this evening, and instead of doing it as a pre-record, I decided to go ahead and run it live. And we do have Mr. Bill O'Keefe, otherwise known on Twitter as Defend Wall Street. He's with me again. He's been a recurring guest with us lately. Been spending a lot of time with us during this election cycle talking about the craziness that is 2016. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you guys are. How are you, Bill? How are you doing?
I picked a hell of a time to stop drinking.
Pretty much. That kind of sums up my entire life lately.
I picked the worst possible time to quit alcoholism. I really did. There's no, but there's really just no worse time to have done it.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on your point of view, because for the Trumpers, after November 9th will probably be the worst time for them to have stopped drinking.
No, you know what? I was actually listening to that intro that you have that plays, and I've never noticed it before. I don't know why, but you have that little clip there from Donald Trump where he says that President Obama is the founder of ISIS, and I don't know why that never dawned on me before. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that when Nixon ran against Hubert Humphrey, one of the things that came out in the newspaper at the time was that the Viet Cong wanted him to win the election because they knew that he would essentially quit the war in Vietnam. And I don't know why that never occurred to me at all, but obviously Trump has somebody pretty old on his campaign that's told him to do that. Probably Roger Ailes, I would think.
Probably.
Yeah, I think probably Roger Ailes is the only person on his campaign that was alive for the election of 72. Yeah, Kellyanne Conway was probably just in high school then. Well, Trump himself was pretty old. He might remember it, but
I was going to
anyway.
say, what is he, in his 70s? I mean, yeah, he probably remembers.
He'd probably remember it. But Ailes is a snake, so he probably was the one that came up with it. So I just thought that was interesting because I never noticed that before. So Texas is a purple state now. That's pretty cool. Donald Trump said he would expand the map. He just never said in what direction.
Yeah, I mean...
he's certainly expanding it, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, he is, but he's expanding it. Depending on your point of view, I guess he's expanding it in the wrong direction. It's why I get so choked up and get the giggles from all these people that are like, oh my God, Trump is making people line up around the world to go vote. And I'm like, yeah, but are you sure they're voting for the right side? Because everything that I see, he's turning states that have never before been swing states purple. And of course, if you ask Trump supporters, they're turning purple because it's breast cancer awareness, which is technically October, but I thought that was pink, not purple. What do I know?
Well, a lot of Republicans have this very strange mythological thought about the state of Texas. And while it does suck that Texas may be in play, and it does suck certainly that Texas is a purple state, it is really not as traditional as people think that Texas goes blue. In fact, until 1976, Texas was a blue state pretty solidly. It wasn't until it really wasn't until 76 when that changed. So, in fact, Texas was red pretty solidly in the 80s and 90s, and they had Democrat governors, and I believe the state legislature was mostly Democrat at the time throughout the 80s and 90s. But it is alarming because it's a bellwether of things to come. No Republican candidate, at least in my lifetime, has done poorly in Texas and won. George H.W. Bush carried the state against Bill Clinton, I guess in 92, 94, I forget. Anyway, George H.W. Bush carried the state, but he carried it by, I think, only about 5.5 points. Of course, Bush went on to lose the election. McCain carried the state, I think, by 7.25 or something like that, or 7 3/4. And we all know what happened there. Romney's the only Republican candidate who's ever carried the state of Texas by a large margin and still lost the general election. So perhaps you might conclude there's nothing to learn from this, but a Republican candidate winning the state of Texas by 2 points, even in an average of 5, 6, 7 polls, is still pretty alarming. So I see it as a bellwether. I don't necessarily think that Texas will flip blue. I'm open to the possibility of it because, as Trump is fond of saying, this is an election that breaks many conventions. And so Texas going blue would not necessarily surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, one of the conventions it broke was the Geneva Convention. I mean, not literally, but pretty close as far as how he treated his fellow candidates. And the whole, I mean, I don't know. One of the things I guess that is set wrong with me with Trump from the beginning, and I've talked about this before, is he makes all this noise about how all of the candidates but him broke the pledge. He was the first one to renounce the pledge. The only reason nobody's talking about it is because he was the only one that technically didn't have to keep it, because it's not like he's going to turn against himself. But at the same time, when asked several weeks before everything that he started doing negatively towards Cruz, started coming out, he'd already said, at this point, I don't view the pledge that we made as something that I can still support because for whatever reason, and I don't remember what reason he gave at that time, but of course nobody's talking about that because he was the one that ultimately wound up dividing, conquering, and winning through a plurality, and that's part of what I keep trying to make everybody understand, because when you talk to everyone on the other side of this argument, they're like, but he won, he got the most votes. No, actually he didn't. That's the problem with a party deciding to float 17 candidates and having so many of them remain in the race much longer than they likely should have. If not for Kasich, who ultimately wound up becoming a spoiler, I think our election process might have been much different. I think that's why a lot of folks that I thought were really strong in the beginning or could have been just elected to throw in the towel really early, like Walker. Walker would have probably been one of the stronger candidates if he'd been able to stay in the race, but he got a whiff of everything that was going on pretty early, realized the type of money that he was going to need to overcome the mess that is Donald Trump, and just said, you know what, this isn't my year. I don't necessarily blame him for that. But what I don't understand...
Walker also had that sex problem, too.
Well, this is true. I mean, what I don't understand, what I really don't understand, though, one of the things that hasn't made sense for me from the beginning was the overarching stance and direction that Cruz took, because when everything that came out about Trump trying to use shady journalism about his wife, his father, and everything else, he took a stand on principle, and then several weeks later, when it couldn't do anything to help him, he decided to cave in and support Trump. I don't understand that move, especially with everything that we've seen coming out now, other than from some folks that I know that are still deep in the GOP, the 2 or 3 that will still talk to me. Apparently, Cruz was in trouble because he was getting threats from his donors to pull out, and he would have had no shot at his Senate campaign if he didn't bow to Trump. But what I don't understand about that is if you knew that was coming, why put yourself through everything that you put yourself through at the RNC? Why not just follow on your sword there and garner the support of the Trump crowd? Why go through all of that just to eventually cave and make yourself look even more weak? Now, I don't think it's going to hurt him in Texas. I think, honestly, that's the reason why Trump is 2 points from tying in Texas, because he went after a very popular Texas senator, put him through the ringer, put him through the meat grinder, and said things that everybody, even he, admitted weren't true, but nobody's calling him on it, except for the folks in Texas that are like, yeah, I'm not sure we're going to vote for you. I don't care if you're a Republican. And I'm getting that from more and more people in Texas. So I don't know what direction the state's going to go, but I do know that it's the closest to being a swing state that it's ever been. Georgia's already a swing state. North Carolina is a swing state. I mean, it's just crazy that so many usually routinely conservative states are in play for the other side. And this was the guy that kept saying he was going to make inroads in blue states, and he's turning red states blue, or at least purple. But we're not supposed to talk about that, because if we talk about Donald Trump and we don't talk about Hillary, then we're automatically helping Hillary, which doesn't make any sense to me either, because let's not forget, several months ago, Donald Trump says he didn't need my vote. If I wasn't one of his loyal few that was supporting him from the beginning, he did not need my vote, require my vote, want my vote, or want to hear anything from me. So I was told I didn't matter, I was irrelevant, this was a new GOP, and they were going to win without me. Now that they're realizing they can't, all of a sudden I'm a traitor because I won't go in lockstep with the GOP. They really need to pick an argument and stick with it, because I don't mind being called a traitor by this group of people, because ultimately there's 2 things that will be able to judge me a traitor. That will be either history or God, and I don't really care what their ultimate decisions are as far as the Trumpers, because I know why I'm not supporting Donald Trump, and I know why I'm not supporting Hillary Clinton, and it's because at this point we have a choice between 2 big government, crazy spending liberals who the only real difference is how are they going to spin us into oblivion, not the fact that one of them is or the other one isn't. They're both going to do it. The only thing that's going to be different is who's going to get the money. But that's just me.
Georgia is also in play as well.
Oh yeah, they've actually been in play for a while. It's just kind of scary.
Well, Georgia's officially in play, though, I think as of last week. it takes a bit it takes a bit of time for them to flip these states to, I don't know, what do they call them? There's so many damn names. Battleground states, swing states.
Swing states, or as I like to call them in this election, lost cause states.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Look, where is Donald Trump going to win? Where is his path to victory? He cannot, I emphasize, cannot win with that state of Florida. He can't. If if on election night you're sitting home like I am, and it's 8 o'clock at night and they call Florida for Clinton, the election's over. It's just over. It's over before it began. It's just done. Because he cannot win without the state of Florida. He just can't. It's not possible. As soon as Florida's called, the race is over. If he wins Florida, he's still probably going to lose. But the day goes on at that point. If he loses Florida, he's done. There's no other way for me to say it. He's done. It's just over. So, if he loses Florida, take a shot of Drano and go to sleep. Because it's over. It's just done. Mathematically, there's no way that mathematically, with what's available, there is no way that he can win without Florida. None. Period. He could, if he ran the table of every other damn state, he still would not win without Florida. Still couldn't win without it. So, not good.
No, I mean, and that's the thing, because, and this is something that I've been talking about with friends and family. It's things I've been talking about on the radio. It's things that I've been talking about at the day job. Look, at this point, if you're a Trump supporter, the only real prayer you have at this point is that Evan McMullin, Castle, and Johnson pull enough votes that it blocks anybody's path to 270, and then it gets kicked over to Congress, and they pick from the top 3 votes. If you want to know the only way Donald Trump will likely become president, and it's still an outside shot that we may wind up getting somebody else, it's going to be the path to the block. Because there aren't enough votes open in enough places for him to be able to get there. If you look everywhere and just take the aggregate data and kind of put it all together at this point, I think
he has to win. In order for him to win, he needs Florida, North Carolina, Florida, North Carolina. He has to keep Georgia. He's got to win Ohio. He needs to win Iowa. He needs to win Colorado, Nevada, and New Mexico. And he's got to keep McMullin from stealing Utah and Idaho from him. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see this man running, because basically in order for him to win, he has to run the table, basically. He's got to get over Florida like a hurdle, and he's just got to keep running. And I imagine the Trump train running out of steam at Ohio. That's my guess. Now, there are some people who will say that he's going to win Pennsylvania. Those too.
I don't see him winning Pennsylvania. I really don't.
I don't either. I can hear myself, by the way.
We were having a buffer overload again. Hang on.
Yeah. I don't see him winning. In order for him to win, he has to win, like I said, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio. He has to win Iowa, New Mexico, Colorado, and Nevada. I don't see it happening. I can't imagine Kellyanne Conway sees it happening either. I'm open to a surprise. I'm open to surprise tyranny, but I don't see it happening.
Well, according to certain political pundits, the one vote nobody's tracking is the monster vote. I'm not quite sure what he meant by that. I don't know if maybe he meant like a huge groundswell or what, but he specifically used the word monster vote. I'm just like, was that a bad Halloween joke, or is there something I'm missing?
I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Look, he has Donald Trump set out to change the Republican Party in a very, very fundamental way. He's talking about draining the swamp now. He wants to throw all these congressmen out on their backs. Look, he went to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania the other day. I would say, I would dare say, probably one of the Republican Party's finest moments. Lincoln's speech in Gettysburg. He had a very significant opportunity to do something very interesting, to do something historic. No president that I know of Republican has ever gone to Gettysburg during a campaign and tried to do this. He had a real opportunity here that a lot of people have never tried for or have never wanted to do, whatever. He had an opportunity here and he squandered the living hell out of it. Instead of talking about this really historic place where hundreds of thousands of people died to preserve the country, to preserve the Union, this imbecile, this Luddite, takes the first 10 minutes of his speech to talk about how he's going to sue some broads that said he touched him. I don't understand. What goes through his mind? And what goes through the mind of the people that work for him? Because, look, I know he's a jerk-off, right? I mean, he's a jerk-off. But, Kellyanne Conway and some of these other people that work for him, they're not stupid, right? At least not in a classic sense. They're not intellectually bereft. So why is it that these people can sit here and, it just, this is just nuts. I watch this crap day in and day out because this is sort of what I do, for a living. And I sit and I watch this crap on TV, and today I had to sit and watch Jason Miller. You know who Jason Miller is?
Yes.
Okay, I won't bother. I'll explain it anyway. Jason Miller is Trump's communications director. He's basically a lying jerk. And I got to tell you, Trump is engaging in this war on the media now. And it is getting to a point where I'm telling you, someone is going to get hurt. He started it up for a while in the beginning. A couple of people got shoved and stuff, and then it just kind of died. I guess somebody must have bent his ear and got him to stop. And it sort of died off. Now they have people. Today I watched this. I was talking to a friend of mine. I was sitting here watching this live on TV. Jim Acosta is reporting from this event that he had in Tallahassee tonight. And they have this speech that Trump gave. And he gives this speech and he says, oh, well, the media, and he points right at the guys from CNN and MSNBC. Because, by the way, they if you don't know, the Trump campaign pens off the press. They have them in a little pen, with barricades around them. And so he points at the press pen, and he says, these people, these media people, they are elitists. They don't want working class, blue collar people to get ahead. They don't like you. They hate you. They hate white collar people. They hate blue collar people. They hate normal, everyday Americans. And so the crowd started turning around and started throwing stuff at the press. And then they're chanting, I won't repeat it, but they're chanting F CNN and, go F yourself. And Jim Acosta, after the rally, is trying to report on what happened. Now, I don't particularly like Jim Acosta. I mean, I'd take him or leave him. I don't really think he's the greatest thing on TV, and I don't think he's the worst. I don't think he's Sean Hannity levels of propaganda either. But, he's sitting there trying to do his job, and there's this guy with an FCNN sign standing behind him, and he's like, they're throwing stuff at him, and they're yelling at him. What the hell? I don't understand this. He's on TV. Trump was on TV he was at a rally yesterday, I guess it was, and he's talking about the media is his favorite punching bag now because they come out with a poll and they say he's dog crap, and so naturally he goes out on out to these rallies all steamed up and he just starts ranting and raving, and the media is this and that, and so yesterday, I guess it was, or the day before, he was at a rally, and he was saying that he believed, it was Gettysburg. It was when he was at Gettysburg. He said, the press really has too much freedom in this country. They really have too much flexibility to lie and to be unfair to people. And what we're going to do when I'm president is we're going to start to open up these laws, and this is something that he's said before, but he said something to the effect of they have too much freedom to say what they want. Dude, really?
Well, it gets a little worse than that. We'll actually talk about that when we come back. We've got to take a really quick break. I want to spend a segment when we come back talking about a tweet that I saw from Donald Trump over the weekend. And I double-checked 3 times to make sure the check mark was there because I couldn't believe what he said. Because for once, it was actually fairly coherent. And for the second, it was completely insane when you read the last half of it. But we'll talk about that when we come back. We've got to take a really quick break, pay some bills. You are listening to America Off the Rails right here on KLNRradio.com. We'll be back here in just a couple minutes.
Stay tuned. Things are going to get real interesting. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
God's Pure Word of Faith with Richard Harden can now be heard Monday through Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Central, 8 Eastern, and on Saturday and Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. Central, 7 Eastern. Join him and let's turn our country back to God. It only takes a spark to start a forest fire. Let's get on fire for the Lord. Right here on KLRN Radio and the Spark Radio Network.
All right, folks, we are back. Welcome to America Off the Rails. Again, joined by Bill O'Keefe, a.k.a. Defend Wall Street, right here on America Off the Rails on klnrradio.com. And we have been discussing the continuing discussion we seem to have pretty much every time he's on, which I and others have coined the phrase Dumpster Fire 2016 because it seems to cover it quite nicely. Now, before we went to break, I promised when we came back we were going to spend at least part of the last part of the show talking about a tweet that I found from Donald Trump's verified account this weekend. One where he basically said, in order for me to become president and drain the swamp in D.C., I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your vote. And when I get your vote, I'm going to create a new government of by and for the people. Now, some of you might be asking what the big deal is there. I want to draw your attention to that last sentence again. I'm going to create a new government of by and for the people. He didn't say he was going to restore the one we already have. He said he's going to create a new one. Now, just to drive this point home, a little bit, and then I'll let Bill chime in. If you ask the Chinese government, their government is also of by and for the people because they call it the People's Republic of China. So, what exactly is it he's wanting to create that we don't already have? That's my question.
Well, look. Let's just go back on this just a teeny little bit. Here's the thing with Trump. He says things. Most of them are stupid. Some of them have just a teeny little kernel of wisdom in them. Some of them, not many. But some of them do have a tiny little bit of wisdom to them. But when he says these crazy things like this, a lot of times people bring surrogates on the shows, and they say, well, you can't really take him at his word. You have to sort of understand what he's trying to say. And I'm like, look, if your candidate doesn't understand what the hell he's saying and he can't figure out how to message that correctly, that's not my fault. And they do this constantly. They'll go, well, you know, what he's really doing is drawing attention to so-and-so. And I'm like, but that's not what he said. Well, but that's what he meant. And I go, well, then why didn't he say that then? Like, you know, so I have a feel, I kind of go two ways on this. Either he's far more inarticulate than George W. Bush ever was, or could be, or he's really telling us what he wants to do, and his people are trying to, you know, shuck and dive around it. I rather think it's the first one. I hope it is. I'm terrified if it's the second one. Now, what people are going to do, I noticed this too, when he said that. That was the first thing I noticed too, and I'm glad that you said that, because I was going to mention this and I totally forgot about it. But it's that key word there, right? Create. What the hell do you mean you're going to create it? Like, doesn't it already exist? So the question is he going to fix a broken system, or is he looking to replace the system that we have? He's not really the man for that job. I'm not sure I would trust, I have to be honest with you, I'm not really sure I'd trust Reagan to do it, let alone Donald Trump. And I trust Reagan a hell of a lot more than Trump. Look, you don't replace the government that we have. What the government that we have is pretty good, and that's why I'm saying I wouldn't even I would not ask or trust Ronald Reagan to do it either, because this system was devised by people far smarter than even him, and it's managed to work roughly more or less on autopilot for almost 300 years now. So I say if it's not really truly broken irreparably, don't try to fix it. You can repair some things, and you know, the Constitution is a living document. I think some disagree, but I think that we have the ability to modify the law to do things. I think that we should do it that way. How will Donald Trump replace the government we have? Will he do that? What are his plans? I don't know. He doesn't even have a transition team. Today they asked Jason Miller, Hillary Clinton has a transition team she's put together. What does Donald Trump have? And he's like, well, you know, we're just really focused on winning the election, then we'll worry. Like, dude, you know, by law, and I don't know if you know this or people who listen to this know this, but you know that by law they're required to have transition teams. You know that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, they have to have transition teams because, I mean...
Well, no, I mean, but they're required by federal law to have them.
Well, no, I know, but I mean, even if it wasn't a federal law requirement, which it is,
common sense.
Common sense, but you know, that just reminds me of something else I saw today that kind of completely destroys the argument of everyone has common sense, because apparently now it's a felony in California for a prosecutor to basically not do their job properly and try to falsify evidence. They've actually made it a felony for them to actually do their job with to do their job and try to hold them to the point of having moral standards. And I'm butchering the headline all the hell because I don't have it in front of me, but it's just something that kind of hit me around the same vein because, you know, to my mind, it's common sense. You're going to have some sort of a transitional team, and there should be people that are spun up, ready to go, ready to step in the roles in the event that you win. So the fact that, and this goes back to the whole ground game argument, because, you know, you listen to some of his folks that have become his surrogates during the length of this election cycle, and as far as they're concerned, they haven't really needed a ground game because Trump's ground game is in the hearts of his people. And this goes to the lack of a ground game.
I read that from Bill Mitchell.
Yes, you did. I've been going out of the way to not mention his name because a friend of mine actually got a hashtag trending today, so I think we gave him way too much press. So I've been trying not to say his name tonight. But it was awesome to watch because she came up with the idea and we had it trending in like an hour. I was like, holy cow.
Who came up with that?
Jen.
Really?
Yeah. We're in a group together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we were in a group together, and she's like, hey, how about a new hashtag? And she drops that in there, and we just all started
that's awesome.
taking off
so
on it.
Mad about it, too.
Yo, dude, he was beyond mad. And the really funny thing is you watch all the folks on Trump's side going, the leftists are trying to take down a grassroots pundit. I'm like, no, this was actually started by another grassroots pundit who thinks he's a moron, and we agree, so we helped push it. It was fun. It actually made my Monday go by so much faster because I kept looking at all the crazy things everybody was saying. I'm like, oh, we need to start just doing like a thing called
you can
hashtag
facts,
Mondays.
Max. You can use facts to prove anything.
Oh, but yeah, so it actually did make the Monday a lot more fun, and half the people that were involved in that are now blocked by Bill Mitchell. Yeah, I haven't been blocked by him yet, but I'm not really trying.
I was blocked by him. I don't know, maybe about a month or two ago. I actually periodically log out to read his timeline because I just find it some of the best entertainment in the world.
Oh, you know, it really kind of is. And the scary thing is, you know, we were doing this whole parody thing. Most of mine weren't parodies. They were just I was slightly changing the wording of the stuff that he already used. Like one of the last ones that I did was,
that's what I was doing too. I was actually taking real things that he said and I just modifying them slightly.
And everybody was like, "Oh my God, that's not funny." And I'm like, "It's not really meant to be funny. He actually said this." No, he didn't. And then I'd show him the tweet and be like, "See that?" And they're like, "Ah, crap." And the funny thing is, some of the diehard Trumpers didn't realize it was sarcasm. Bill Mitchell didn't even know what was going on until somebody tweeted him and then said, "Hey, Bill, there's a hashtag tweeting that says Bill Mitchell's quotes." He's like, "What quotes?" And then Dan tweets him and says, the ones that we've been parroting because you're way too easy."
Okay, so I have to admit there is one thing that I posted in that hashtag which was actually a real quote from him. And I was sort of half hoping somebody would call me on it and realize that I wasn't joking, but also sort of get a laugh out of it. He, about 2 weeks ago, he said something on Twitter like, "Check out my timeline. There's lots of things that I've said on there." I tweeted that, and I didn't think anybody. I was hoping somebody would notice that was a real one. But people thought it was funny. Like, it got a lot of retweets. People thought it was hilarious. And I'm like, no, it's really something he said.
Well, yeah, I mean...
What else would be on your timeline? Stuff that you didn't say?
Well, according to Trump. Because, of course,
Bill Mitchell is one of the greatest parody accounts on Twitter. I still maintain it's a parody account. It's got to be some kind of a joke.
Well, if it's not...
It has to be! There's no possible way that somebody is this stupid. It has to be some kind of a joke that just we're not in on.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be. Although, I mean, I know that Wayne Dupree at one point was trying to graft onto his popularity and actually had him as a co-host on his show, and I guess that didn't last long. I guess two egos that large can't occupy the same space without some sort of a nuclear implosion. Oh,
well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know who he was until I started seeing all the rumblings that he was actually co-hosting with Wayne Dupree for a while. But then again, I don't usually go out and specifically look for other conservative talk show hosts unless I'm thinking about offering them a slot. And Wayne has kind of been off that radar for a while. Which, not really going to get into the politics of that for the last few minutes of the show, but needless to say, he and I haven't gotten along for quite a while, and he actually blocked me the day that he found out Bunny was running live programming on my station, which I don't understand because she'd already left him, gone to another station, and then eventually came over here because she knew I was willing to work with her team scheduling and try to put them into time slots they could actually use, since back then there were a whole group of them that were running, and some of them had health issues and work scheduling issues and everything else. So I'm like, hey, we don't really have much running on these days. You guys are welcome to put anything anywhere you want. And they ran with us for a while, but the day that he found out we were running them live, all of a sudden I was blocked. Not sure why, because he actually stole the host from me about 6 months earlier. But I didn't even steal anybody from him. I just, after they left, I said, hey, we've got room, because they were complaining about not being able to find a spot that would work for them. I'm like, we got plenty of room. Come over here. And the rest is history. Been friends with most of them ever since.
Well, I used to really like Wayne, and then he became a Trump humper, and that was pretty much the end of that. I have a pretty, I don't, for people who may or may not know, I don't follow very many people on Twitter. It's something that I don't do because I don't have the attention span to read 1,000 tweets flying by me at a time. And I'm certainly not going to figure some stupid way out to, make it possible for me to do that, because I just don't have the time. And so I follow like 300 or 400 people, and even that to me is a little bit much. And I have a pretty small litmus test these days for how you get a follow from me. And basically, if you aren't a Trump humper, that's pretty much one way to do it. But if you're a Trump guy, no thank you. I don't have time to read that kind of crap. I just don't. Because at this point, Trump fans live in a delusionary state. And when I say delusionary, I mean like Wizard of Oz, time, Twilight Zone kind of stuff. Up is down, down is up, left is right, and right is left.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Sorry, you said Wizard of Oz, I had to.
No, but it's true, right? Like there's sort of like an alternate, there's like an alternate reality field in play here, and I don't have time for it.
I mean, it does definitely feel that way. I mean, but the thing about it is, I guess what drives me nuts is, we've seen this type of alternate reality stuff going on with the left now for a while. And now all of a sudden...
Well, now we have our own.
And now we have our own, exactly. And that's what drives me nuts, because up until these last couple of election cycles, we've been told we needed to think for ourselves. We need to make decisions that we think are best for the country on our own, because ultimately conservatism is about self-reliance and still helping other people, but mainly focusing in your own sphere of influence first. That was what conservatism was always explained to with me. And that's one of the reasons why I've had issues with a lot of the things that have come up about, well, we have to put prayer back in schools. We have to do this. We have to do that. No, really, you don't. All you really got to do, if prayer is important to you, then make sure it comes first in your home. Because if it's coming first in your home, then the rest of it will take care of itself. If education about political systems and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is important to you, you have 12 hours, 16 hours a day that your children are home that you actually have the ability to instruct them in those things. My children all had extra homework every day they were in school up until they were in about 10th or 11th grade. At that point, I started cutting back, let them do just their core classes, let them do the things that they needed to do because I wanted them to start looking at college or VOTEC or whatever it is they wanted to do. But up until that point in time, they had extra homework every single day because there were things that I thought were important that were not being covered in school, and I made sure they were covered here. That's what conservatism always was for me. We don't wait for the government to mandate things. We don't pass laws for things to be mandated. We take care of them at home first. And if we could find a way back to that, and quit waiting for the government to fix everything, we wouldn't even need the government very much because most of the things that we're complaining about on a regular basis can be solved without the government. And to me, again, that's always what I thought conservatism was about. Now we have this new GOP group that seems to think we still need the government, and they're just as big government.
No, these people aren't new.
Well, new as in people are paying...
They've been here a long time.
Well, I say
you just
new.
Never noticed them till now.
Well, yeah, I mean new in the fact that really up until now they haven't had much of a voice. We've known they were there, but they haven't really been brought to the forefront.
Yeah, they're the guys that believe that there were, United Nations drills being conducted in Texas, or that HARP was going to give us all brain cancer, or all this Alex Jones kind of crap. I mean, these people have been around a long time. It's just nobody ever listened to them because they're a bunch of uneducated wackos. Look at the CNN ORC poll. It matches with everything we know. Trump's fans, he's got 67% of the uneducated. I shouldn't say uneducated, but he's got 68% of the people who don't graduate college or go to college. He has 68% of those voters. I mean, come on. He's got 31% of college-educated voters. Clinton's got the rest.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing that I don't think that any of these folks are understanding. You can't alienate every single person of color and most millennials and still think you're going to be able to pull off an election. Look, the simple fact of the matter is the demographics are changing. That's why everybody got so excited when Donald Trump first announced his candidacy, because they thought he was going to be able to pull from a different direction. What they failed to realize is Donald Trump is an old, cranky white guy who has lots of money and complains about everybody else being an elite when technically he himself is also an elite. We have the same problem.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how insane is it to listen to a guy that literally wrapped his house in gold tinfoil to sit and talk about what elites are like? Are you kidding me, dude? You're the definition of an elite. You ever seen his house? Well, his penthouse. I mean, it's the stuff of nightmares. It's the gaudy crap of nightmares. I mean, it's just like it looks like he painted the whole house in tinfoil. I mean, it's crazy.
Reminds me of that old DirecTV commercial from a few years ago.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, you see two of the richest people on the planet talking about how they're the ones for the working class. I don't... can I just say does not compute? Not only that, but again, let's not forget, each of them is big government in their own way. They both want some form of socialized medicine. They've each said as much. Hillary wants public college tuition free. Trump wants some sort of a version of that. He's actually mentioned it a couple of times. He keeps changing his stances on it. He wants, paid maternity leave, child tax credits for daycare. And, the funny thing is when Bernie Sanders was floating these things, people like Bill Mitchell were like, oh my God, how are we going to pay for it? And then Trump says it's about time somebody said something like this. Are you kidding me? I mean, it's the complete and total intellectual dishonesty that I'm fed up with from every single side, because it's become this rinse and repeat thing where, a Democrat said it's got to be bad. Oh, look, a Republican said the exact same thing, only just a little bit different. Now it's a good idea. I'm so sick of this, because if it's a bad idea when one side floats it, it's just as much a terrible idea as the other side floats it, or it should be, or you're being intellectually dishonest. That's why those of us that are really looking at this and trying to call it down the center are like, so we can choose from a leftist, socialist-leaning big government spender, or we can choose from a leftist, nationalist-leaning big government spender. I'm not sure which one you want me to go for, folks, because either way, we wind up in the same damn boat.
It's like somebody saying, it's like somebody saying, would you rather eat a dead skunk or would you rather eat a dead skunk covered in ketchup? Like, either way, it stinks. Dude, either way, you're eating roadkill for dinner. It doesn't matter what you call it. If you call it garbage pile or rose, it still smells. So, yeah, I get you, Look, when this whole process started, I was in a bar with a couple of friends of mine, and I said, look, here's the deal. Clinton's on the left. You got crazy old Donald Trump on the right. One party is going to get stuck with one of these lunatics, but there's no conceivable way that both parties can get stuck with both of their lunatics. There's just no way. There's no way that it could happen.
And here we sit.
And then it did.
All right, well, believe it or not, sir, we are out of time. As we do every time on the way out, why don't you remind folks where they can interact with you when you're not on the radio with me?
I'm on Twitter at Defend Wall Street.
And, of course, I'm on Twitter at AOTR_host. I will be back with you again live, depending on when you're listening. It's either, if you're listening to us live right now, it's tomorrow night on Jen and Rick, or then again, if you're listening to us during the normal broadcast time, it'll be tonight on Jen and Rick, where I'm sure we'll have some more information about Dumpster Fire 2016, anything else that's caught our fancy, and probably a couple of news stories just to make things interesting, because I'm about politics out. And speaking of that, I think on Wednesday's show, I think I'm taking a break from politics. I think we're talking The Walking Dead. I'll be a little bit later than most, but I wanted to give folks that listen a chance to make sure they've heard the show before, or watched the show before I spoil it for them. I planned on doing it today and then decided that maybe it was a little too soon, because I have lots of folks that listen that are like, don't start talking about it yet, I haven't watched it. And I'm like, okay, we'll wait. But anyway, that will probably be Wednesday, because I'm going to take a break from politics because I'm tired of fighting from all sides and being called a traitor. But on that note, we are out. I'll be back with you when I see you. Take care. God bless. Bye.
Screw you guys. I'm going home. Later.
Game over, man. It's game over.